Hi everyone, welcome to the Tech Geek podcast on living in the era of internet, trends, tips and learnings. I'm Sukriti Aduvanshi, your host for the episode. The internet is a world in itself with the persisting circumstances where going digital is no more a choice but a requirement. We're witnessing the biggest overhaul of the internet era. The internet is still relatively young. It just celebrated its 26th birthday in 2015. And yet, the connectivity has already produced long lasting effects. It all started with a cable plugged into the phone line, and now we possess the entire world in the palm of our hand. According to the Digital India report of 2021, there were 624 million internet users in India till January 2021. The number of internet users in India increased by 47 million between 2020 to 2021, and the internet penetration in India stood at 45% in January 2021. Amid all this hype of internet usage and undergoing shift, where does India stand in the digital transformation? What is the current status of internet usage in India? Are we secure from the cyber crimes? How are technologies playing a key role in innovating the digital market? How aware are you about anything that exists in the world of internet? Well, to get the answers to all these questions, today we are in conversation with Anil Kumar Jain, the CEO of National Internet Exchange of India. Having spent 36 years in the various telecommunication roles, Anil is an expert in the internet, broadband, and telecom sectors. He was on board with Nixie for over 12 years before he took up the role of CEO just last year. His aim is to make the internet accessible and beneficial to every individual in our country. Welcome to the show, Anil. We are delighted to have you.
Thank you, Sukriti. Uh, so to start with, first of all, thank you very much for the introduction. And I just want to tell that what Nixie is actually doing for the country. Nixie is, we can say, a internet infrastructure provider to the country. It means that we are helping the internet service providers, telecom service providers, the fiber providers, the content developers, the application developers overall, and providing the back from the back end the complete support and infrastructure whatever is required to another device, which is highly recognizable. This .in represents India, .in represents internet, .in represents international. That is what India is dealing. And today I'm very happy that more than 2.6 million domain users are on .in. And I'm very happy to also inform all my listeners that India is the only country in the world which provide this domain in local languages. Bharat is the domain which we provide in all 22 official languages of India. This is the highest in the world. The next one is China with 2 local domain. So you can understand the kind of work which government of India has done to include all non-English speaking people and illiterate people to the world of internet. The second business which we do is to sell and manage the internet protocol addresses. Internet protocol addresses are exactly same the address which you and me have. For example, I have to go to Sukriti's house. Then today I should know her postal address. I should know the city where she lives. I should know the locality where she lives. I should know her house number and where the location is there. Similarly, when we send information from one computer to another computer, from one mobile to computer, or from computer to any machine which is internet operated, all this communication goes through a address. And this address is nothing but a digit. For example, 101.201.25. Something like that. And this is unique with every computer device available with us. So international organizations has authorized India, as only few countries have authorized to sell internet protocol addresses in the world. We are one of them. We are lucky of them. So we are, Government of India has authorized Nixie, and Nixie is now selling, managing, controlling the internet protocols available in the country. The third business with which Nixie was born was in 2003 when we started a internet exchange. That is how the name is National Internet Exchange of India. Now this internet exchange is nothing but a platform where internet service providers, who are internet service providers for you? Jio, Airtel, Vodafone, BSNL, Hathway. These are the internet service providers which are available to you, and you take internet connection from them and you consume internet from them. They come and terminate themselves on Nixie platform. Similarly, the content providers. Who are the content providers? Google is content provider, Microsoft is content provider, Akamai is content provider. They also come and rest on the Nixie platform. Then there are data centers, big data centers which carry data from one place to another place, from one machine to another machine. These data centers also come and terminate on us. So what we do basically, we transmit the data from one ISP to another ISP, from CDN to ISP, from data center to CDN or to the ISP. It means we become a data exchange of between various operators, between various actors who are working on broadband and internet. Now, why we started this? Why internet exchange is required? This was required for two reasons. Initially, when you were seeking information from Google, this information request was going from India to US. And then from there, the data is retrieved and again traveled from US to India to deliver it to you. So it has two impact. Number one, we were consuming international bandwidth, which cost in dollars, and that cost is handed over to the consumer. So the broadband and internet was very costly initially. The second was it takes time from to travel from India to US and back from US to India. So this is called a delay. Delay means that when you click to seek an information, it used to take 5 seconds, 10 seconds to get this information. Technically, we called it latency. Now this latency was very high, so we reduced with the internet exchange both latency as well as the international currency which we were spending there. So now I'm very happy to inform you that almost 90 to 95% of the data which we consume on internet and broadband is within India. So that is why the internet and broadband which is being delivered to all of us at home are quite reasonably cost. And I think it is one of the cost effective with respect to any other country in the world. Sukriti?
What insights shared, Anil. I am so delighted, and it is amazing to know such fascinating numbers about our own country. Thank you for giving those stats. We just quickly move on to the questions now. Okay, the first one that I have for you is that in India, digitization started back in 2015. So, according to you, where do you think we are now, and what could be the next goal?
Interesting. In fact, I don't say that digitization started in 2015. Digitization started, when we started the internet. And let me correct you. You were saying that 25 year or 26 years, that is the commercial inauguration of internet. But internet on a experimental basis with a company called ARNet, which is a part of Government of India, started somewhere in 1985-86. And even Videsh Sanchar Nigam Limited has started this to have an experiment between their own employees in somewhere in 1985. But yes, you're right. On commercial basis, internet was made available somewhere in 1995-96. That is why you said 25, 26 years. Thank you. Now, on July 1st, 2015, Prime Minister of India has started a new vision and new journey called Digital India as a project. The objective of Digital India was, number one, to make the Indian economy as digital economy worth $1 trillion by 2024. Second, delivery of government services digitally. And third, to make the people of India digitally empowered. Now, these were the basic objective which we started in 2015. And now in the last 6 years, we have seen that there is a huge foreign investment which is coming and which is putting money in digitization of the country. There is a huge increase in the jobs of the people, getting more and more jobs in the digital area. We have grown the digital infrastructure of this country. Lot of computers, lot of software, lot of optical fibers have been flown in this. We are strengthening the cyber security and data protection framework. Mobile connections are now touching up to 1.2 billion, and our tele density was as close to around 100%. Sukriti, let me tell you that in 2000, our tele density was 0.1%. Now in next 21 years, we have come cross to 100, and now it is only India and China which is leading the mobile tele density in the whole world. We have started e-governance. We must have seen, I think, Aadhaar become a part of our life. Prime Minister has started smart city concept, and in 200 cities, the smart cities are being done, and it is in the progress, and a lot of companies have already got it. Bheem UPI. I am very happy to inform you that we are getting billions of transaction on UPI platform per month, which is highest in the world. We have launched RuPay. GSTN has been implemented by Prime Minister, and we have computerized GSTN 100% with GSTN IN. And let me tell you, Sukriti, very interesting that huge amount of money is spent in government procurement, around $100 billion per year. We have started a portal which is called GEM portal. Is a government electronically market, and we do everything there. And this GEM is available in 7 local languages also. And finally, the digital locker, which is available to the people of India. You must have seen that we are talking about the Bharat broadband, from where that we have connected more than 1.5 lakh gram panchayat in the country with broadband. So people of rural India are also enjoying broadband. In the last 5-6 years, around 10,000 startups have come up and only working on digital India. And let me tell you, in the morning I was listening a artificial intelligence seminar where it is told that every month we are getting 10 startup as unicorn. I think that is wonderful. Nowhere in the world it is happening. And skill development is happening huge. And e-commerce market, which was virtually not there, now the total turnover is around $54 billion on e-commerce. Wi-Fi at railway station, I think all of us have seen. So wonderful things are happening on digital India as on date. Now we must have seen that during COVID, the digitization has actually taken a jump. We have seen that health management through Arogya Setu, through COVID, free consultation of by the medical fraternity is happening. All of us, like today we are having a seminar, we are having a work from home, which is a new culture which has evolved, and I think everybody is adopting. Not only you and me, I think that young boys and girls, students, they have started getting the content of education from home. Prime Minister has started a new thing called Atmanirbhar Bharat campaign. And let me tell you, in Atmanirbhar Bharat campaign, most of the people who are working seriously and emotionally is on digital India. Uh, Another growth is that social media consumption in the last 2 years, 2 years during COVID has gone up by 87%. So a lot of people are there on social media, and a lot of social media is there. Mobile consumptions has gone up. And I think most important thing is that since we are at home, we are not utilizing petrol, we are not utilizing everything. I think we are having a serious positive impact on the environment also with the help of digital India. Sukriti?
That's right, Anil. And I think you gave a piece of information which was actually very important for our audience to know. Thank you so much for that. Let's move on to the next one. What is IP version 6? How prepared do you think India is to leverage it?
I think this is a very interesting question. When I was talking about internet protocol addresses, when I was telling about Nixie, I said only internet protocol addresses. So internet protocol addresses are basically what we were using till now is for IPv4 version 4. And since the total IPv4 version could only get 4.3 billion addresses, it means it can only satisfy to 4.3 billion devices. Now, the way it is growing, let me tell you the total number of broadband in the world are already 4.5 billion. So you can understand that now the addresses are exhausted, right? So there was a need for new IP addresses which can go for next 40-50 years. So this is a new version of IP addresses where I can only say you that IPv6 addresses can be compared to the number of sand grains in the world. It means that we all can have unlimited IP addresses with us. Not only the number or the growth, but IP6 addresses has come with something more. One is that it is highly secure. Internet protocol security has been built up in IPv6, usable with a proper key infrastructure. Data integrity is kept intact with this protocol. I think you must understand that security of storing the data, consuming the data, and analyzing the data has become very, very important. Second is becoming routing efficiency. Routing means what? In the whole internet world, we have various network element, which we call node. The data flow from one node to another node, second node to third node to fourth node. You and me, when we are consuming broadband, we may not come to know because we get the data in nanosecond or microsecond. But there is a requirement, since the huge amount of data is flowing, the efficiency of movement of data from one node to another node has to go up. So routing efficiency has gone up. And the third one is that people are able to configure and plug in their computer device without any much configuration. It means that there is a computer network and I want to add myself in the computer network. Initially, I used to set up a lot of things to make it make and match with the existing network. Now with IPv6, we don't require anything. It is a auto configuration, has a highly flexible, and it is highly user friendly for the broadband administrator also. So this is about the IPv6 which we have, and I'll just tell you the figure. Now I'll give you the good news. Good news is that IPv6 India is the best in the world. We are number one in IPv6 adopter in the world, and that is a great news which we have. And I want to tell you that till now we have 28 billion IPv6 addresses which are in the hands of the people to use it, and we have around 44 million IPv4 addresses which we have. But the story don't stop here. I think IPv6 adoption is required heavily for all of us to do that. To make it more adoptable, more traffic on IPv6, Nixie has taken a onus, and we have started something great journey now, which is appreciated not only within India, outside India also. First, when we are converting from IPv4 to IPv6, we don't know which technology to use, how to do it, where to do it. The reason being that IPv6 is a new technology, we don't have much technical power available to help the world about IPv6. So we have started a app called IP Guru, where we have people expert from India and international experts. So anybody has any problem, they can just leave the message and their query to us. Rest we will take care. We will provide them all the technical help, logistic help. In case his system required some hardware and software, we will also provide them the list of the vendor who can supply them software and hardware. And once the IPv6 gets implemented, we also tell them that how to test, what results should come to ensure that IPv6 is perfectly implemented. This service is absolutely free. The second, as I said, that less number of people are available about knowledge about IPv6. I think it is felt that we should enhance the capacity of IPv6 expert in the country. For that, we started a program called Nixie Academy. Under the Nixie Academy, we have several programs, and they are stored, recorded as a audio visual. Means somebody is teaching you, you are listening from computer comfortably as you are in the class. You can ask questions also. After every chapter, there are questions. And if you are able to clear the question of first chapter, then only you can go to the second chapter. Once you complete a course, Nixie provide you a certificate. Now you can understand that since the people are not available, this certificate has huge value. You go to the market, show that you are a trained person from Nixie Academy. The possibility is that you'll get a good job with a good salary also. So this way we are now increasing the number of people knowledge about not only basic understanding of IPv6, but advanced knowledge of IPv6, security aspect of IPv6, and in future we keep on adding more and more courses which are more relevant at that particular time. Third thing which we have started is Nixie IP Index. What is this Nixie IP Index? Is a website where we are projecting. In India, for example, we have players who are using IPv6. The players can be the telecom service provider, Jio, Vodafone, Airtel, BSNL, Hathway, or anybody. Uh, and then big organization like Hindustan Levers, Reliance, hospitals, then entertainment industry, how much IPv6 they are adopting and how much traffic they are passing through this. So we are projecting the user-wise information online on real-time basis. Not we have not stopped here. We said that let us compare India with respect to other countries also. So there is a comparison which is India with the whole world and also with various countries. So if you click on Australia, you will come to know what is the progress of Australia as on date, and not only on as on date, but for the last 6 months, 1 year, how the Australia has progressed, how India has progressed, and what is the comparison between these. So basically, idea of this is to motivate operators to adopt IPv6 as much as possible. You know, this is a just feeling in the social engineering. If the neighbor has a good shirt, I should also have a same shirt. If the neighbor has a particular thing in the house, I should also have. So similarly, if Geo has adopted IPv6 up to the level of 94%, why not BSNL, why not Vodafone should also adopt it? So this is the method and way of motivating the people. This is number one. Number two, we are also giving information to the whole world because this website is available to the whole world, saying that how operators in India are adopting IPv6 and how they are getting benefit.
Thank you, Anil. I am just being amazed with each answer that you're giving. And it really, the numbers that you're sharing is really amazing and are insights that everybody should know. Talking about cyber crimes or cyber threats, Anil, I would want to know that people under 18 fall prey to the most cyber bullies, and with the increasing amount of internet, do you agree that minors should be restricted, or to use the internet partially, or maybe have certain scrutinization process before we approve them of using the internet?
I think this is a very burning question in not in the mind of you and me, but especially in the parents, right? So basically, what is cyberbullying? Let all the listener must understand. It is an aggressive, intentional act or behavior that is carried out by a group or an individual using electronic form of contact repeatedly and over time against a victim who cannot easily defend him or herself. Now, Yes, we have seen that virtually 1 in 4 kids are being bullied, not at least once. And 43% of the kids have fallen prey to cyberbullying or anti-bullying. And this is not happening only in India, but this is happening across the world. As per the report, it is says that good number of bullying is in 25 countries, but India is unfortunately at a very high rank. We are at number 3 in this. Now, let us understand that you raised a question that whether we should stop or partially stop internet access to those people who are falling to the victim. I'll come to this. First of all, let us see whether there are any law in India to punish those people who found cyberbullying. I personally feel that there is no specific law which is available for the cyberbullying as on date, but we have a Information Technology Act 2000 of over my own ministry, MIghty, which section 67 says that there are ways how to punish those people who are publishing or transmitting the obscene material in electronic form. I think that covers the bullying. Then under IPC section 507 also receive criminal intimation by way of an anonymous communication that covers electronic communication. And under IT Act also, we have another section called Section 66E of IT Act. So basically, Government of India has provided sufficient laws to punish them. But that is not, we should do that. Let us understand how to stop it, how to repulse those people who are undertaking the cyber bullies. Number one, my suggestion is that we should not respond or we should not retaliate. In case somebody is putting any information on your social media, don't react. And that person will try to avoid. In case you don't react once, twice, then they stop sending it. The second advice is that whatever information is coming on your electronic media, please save it. Saving it will help you in case it is required to go to the police or the lawful interception agencies, then this become a proof for you. This is very important. Then third important is that don't stop when somebody is bullying you continuously. Reach out for the help. And there are cyber crime uh, people, there are in the police department, there are cyber crime units. There is a unit in MIghty which is called Certain. I think you can use it. Then there is in the social media app also, there is a methodology where the moment you get such kind of post, you can block the person who is harassing you, and also you can intimate all the people around you that who is the person who is harassing you. And then you have to protect your own account. That is most important. Your password, don't share password with anybody, and password should be as strong as possible, and keep on changing your password after a periodicity. And I think another suggestion which I want to give is that when you are preparing a social media profile, then it should be very properly done. Don't intimate people to bully you. And also, when you are interacting, don't use any word which attract other people to bully you. So be safe in transaction. That is what my suggestions are there to the young generation and to the people of India about the cyberbullying. Cyberbullying keep on increasing. As yesterday I was attending a seminar about the DNS abuse also, which is nothing but a data security threat. It is increasing at the rate of 200% to 300% per year in most of the country. So when a technology come to us, definitely the negative aspect of these things also comes to us. And then we have to deal with them slowly and slowly. So these are my advice. And if we follow these rules, I think the cyberbullying to the young population will go down subsequently and in a good proportion. Sukriti?
Thank you, Anil. Thanks for that. That helps. And thank you for covering the data theft part also, because I think that's a very important angle for the common people as well to manage and to know and be aware fully about what's happening. Moving on to the next question, Anil, I have is that new technologies are coming in like IoT, AI, or M2M, into the internet space. How and where is India in the direction of adopting these new technologies of internet?
I think this is a very interesting question which you have said, because I was attending a seminar in the morning which was completing the 1 year of launching a artificial intelligence mission in the country. Is a very interesting thing that the new technologies which are coming up, which are knocking the door of all of us, are few like Internet of Things, IoT, artificial intelligence, machine to machine learning. This may not be relevant to you and us, but that will be relevant for the manufacturers. Then blockchain. Blockchain is a technology where the computers can be distributed across the world, but you feel that all the computers are available on your desk, and you can communicate, you can store the data, you can retrieve the data, you can change the data. Cloud computing. Now, this is another new technology which is coming up in this particular space, where you don't need to purchase any computer or a hardware device. The hardware device may be in US, maybe in Brazil, but you feel that that hardware device belongs to you. The advantage of this is that whenever a hardware upgradation is required, or whenever a software upgradation is required, you don't have to worry. The people who are managing the cloud computing can take care of this. Second, you need to manage a technical expert for your hardware and software. In cloud computing, you don't need any expert in that. And another thing which is coming is the big data analytics. This, you must have seen that we are having a lot of Zoom calls, lot of Google calls, lot of data is getting flow. So terabyte and terabyte of data is getting stored now. So there is a new technology which is coming up, is the big data analytics. I think that is a fight which is going on in the social media these days also, that they are collecting huge amount of data, analyzing them, and then using that particular data for commercial use also. So basically, right now, there are more than 10,000 startups who are working in the country. And as I said, that policy on artificial intelligence is being drafted. Now, to adopt these technologies in the India, I think we have to resolve certain issues also. The first issue which we have to resolve is the connectivity. Although we are, as I said, we are reaching around 1.2 billion mobile connections across the country. We have connected most of the villages also with telephone, but we have to first of all connect the entire population of the country, and also not only providing connectivity, but a durable, stable, high speed, secure connectivity at a more comfortable rate. The second aspect which we have to deal with in country is the compatibility. See, basically, whatever equipment we are using, that equipment now should be more compatible with the new technology which we are talking. For example, I'll just give one example to you. Today, you might have a mobile phone that might be 4G compatible. When 5G is now getting ready, we are getting ready for the 5G. You must have heard that trial has been given, and the government of India, a lot of operators are working on the 5G. We need to access 5G, a specified 5G handset. So the end device equipment should be compatible. And even if computers and networks are getting connectivity with these particular technologies, at that particular time, the connectivity is required. Then another thing which is important to adopt this technology is interoperability. It means that we have 4G which is there, and now 5G come. Now 5G cannot work in case they are not able to connect and transmit information and take information with 4G. Otherwise, the whole world will go off, right? So backend connectivity and interoperability is a must requirement for everybody. And I think the most important thing which I want to touch, and this is my favorite subject, is the cyber security. I think as number of data, number of machines are increasing, we heard that in IoT, we will have more than 2 billion internet related devices which will get connected within this year itself. So if 2 billion devices are getting connected, huge amount of data is getting generated, all networks are on internet. So there is a cyber security threat which is there, and we have to take this cyber security threat very, very carefully. Finally, in this, I just want to tell you that IoT and artificial intelligence, if they go together, then there is a possibility of increasing the productivity and also increasing the efficiency. Now, you must have seen that, the areas which are going to get benefited out of these beautiful technologies are COVID-19 has taught us health is a very important area. So health is going to get impacted, benefited by this. Education, which is a requirement of the country and which makes a country very powerful, that you must have seen that US has become powerful because they have high level of education. So artificial intelligence and IoT are going to benefit the education level. As I said, that manufacturing will become more and more automated. We don't require people to be there on the shop floor. People can, a factory can be operated in Gurgaon from a person who is sitting in, say, UK. So you don't require a people to be physically present. And of course, we have seen that logistics and transport will increase and country need more efforts on energy. I think efficiency in energy sector will also go up with the help of all these wonderful technologies which are going to come. Sukriti?
Thanks, Anil. And I was about to ask about 5G, but you've already given us a brief description about how it's going to help the country. So I'll move to the next one, which is what are the trending job profiles in the IT security domain that is, that aspiring engineers can actually look at and think of making their career, further in the coming time?
Sukriti, now as the whole world is moving to digital, so therefore there is a requirement change in the whole world, including India. So I personally feel that a new kind of expertise are required in the country. As I discussed when I was discussing about IPv6, the people are required to be there. So I personally feel that let us talk one by one. As I said, that artificial intelligence is going to be very important, has a big impact on the life of all of us individually as well as the enterprise business. So I think more and more experts in artificial intelligence are required. Then I said that study says that blockchain is going to be a very dominant technology. So we require people who are expert not only in hardware but in software, how to manage the blockchain. Then there is a new group of people which are coming up, which we call data scientists. Now, this may be a new terminology in India. And data scientists are who? They work on machine to machine language. They develop various data models. Basically, they are mathematicians from the back. And then they identify what are the present business issues which are available to them. They produce several models. They produce lot of solutions to them. And let me tell you that today data scientists are big in demand and highly paid people. Then I discussed about the cloud computing. We still have a lot of people which are required, skills are required in data computing. And let me tell you that a lot of universities in the country have already adopted data computing as one of the subject. They are specializing the people in cloud computing, and they are taking out people on cloud computing. I think we will may not have much requirement, but big data engineering is another area which we initially called the business intelligence. But now this is a big data analyst which are required to understand the behavior aspect of the people, the purchasing aspect of the people, how the people behave, and how they have to work. And based on the analysis of the big data engineering engineers, the companies are going to make their forecast futuristic. Coming to the last one, which I personally feel is more important, is the cyber security. Now, as I was telling, is that cyber security is a area which is not much taken up in the country. And although government of India is putting a lot of efforts in cyber security, but experts are not available. The kind of problems which we are getting is that yesterday I was just reading it. There was a ransom which has gone up to $30 billion in the year 2020 itself across the world. So it is going to be huge. Then you must be facing the phishing emails saying that you have won a lottery. You click here and then you can claim your lottery. Or you must have seen the TV ads also coming from the Airtel saying that if somebody is asking about the OTP and getting all the money in their computers. So these kind of phishing, ransomware, or the distributed denial of services, DDoS attacks are coming, and third-party softwares are coming. I personally feel that we required people not as a generic data security people, but we required people in every aspect. Phishing email expert, ransomware expert, DDoS experts. So I think in cybersecurity, uh, a high technical, knowledgeable society is required to be generated. And let me tell you that tomorrow, when we are talking about enterprise level and more enterprise are getting connected with the computer, there has to be a data security policy in every enterprise. There has to be a policy under which the access, how much access has to be given to each user within the organization. Is the people inside the organizations are trained about the cyber attack or not? And now there is a requirement of cyber audit, a regular cyber audit on monthly basis or quarterly basis in every organization. So I think there is a requirement of heavy requirement of cyber security expert, and few companies have already taken cyber security expert in their board. So I think a lot of things are happening now, and entire profile is getting changed. I'll just tell you, it is all wonderful years. I passed out my engineering in 1981. At that particular time, when we used to talk about computer, it was only computer engineer. And then slowly and slowly it became software engineer and hardware engineer. And now you see a huge list of 20, 30 type of computer related, broadband related expertise and disciplines which are coming out of various universities. And now a lot of organizations are also working to train the people, to build the capacity of the people, as we are doing in IPv6, Sukriti.
Superb, superb, Anil. Thank you so much for sharing such incredible experience and thoughts with us. It was an absolute pleasure to have you on the show. You wonderfully answered the questions by substantiating with, the entire thing with some insightful facts. Thank you for being a part of the show. Thank you for being here.
Sukriti, thank you very much. And I want to thank the entire audience also. And basically, Nixie is working for the country. And dear friends, dear listener, I want that you be safe from computer point of view. Take precautions, whatever guidelines are being issued by the government of India. And I hope that all of us will be safe from any kind of cyberbullying, cyber security, cyber attacks, or anything. Have a wonderful digital India, which is coming in future. And thank you very much. Have a wonderful day to all of you. Thank you.